I always wanted to be a rock star. When I was 8, we got MTV. And I would sit there, jaw on the floor, watching the video for Billie Jean. Michael Jackson's in a pink shirt, leather pants, and black and white loafers, and when he walks, the bricks beneath his feet light up. When I was 8, music was about magic. Okay, so then let's jump forward to me at 12. In health class, we were watching movies about periods and sperm and why boys cover their laps with math textbooks, which was totally gross, and the idea of touching one of them made me want to die. Except in the George Michael video, the camera stayed on his butt for a really long time. And that was really interesting. His butt. Okay, so let's jump forward to me at 15. Let's try again to jump forward to me at 15. It was not a pretty sight. I was chunky, I had the acne, the hair, you know the hair, right? The 80s hair, that giant poof shellacked to your forehead with Aquanet, not unlike a unicorn, that hair. And to top it all off, my father was the principal. So I was always getting shoved into lockers by the stoner kids he stuck in detention, which only proved my horrible, self-absorbed teenage perception that I was misunderstood and alone in the profundity of my emotion. And so, for reasons to this day I don't really get, I decided to share those emotions with the entire Chelsea High School student body. I performed at the freshman talent show. Every now and then I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming round, turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit tired and I'm listening to the sound, turn around. You guys, seriously, it was really tragic. And not because I couldn't sing, you know, plenty of rock stars cannot sing. It's just, I was lame. I didn't have the attitude, the presence, the edge. And for the longest time, I thought that's what music was supposed to be. So anyway, the next day, while stuck in a locker for the duration of second period, I decided to give up my dream of being a rock star. So instead, I spent the next decade dating them. As I was writing this story, I actually went back through my journals and found the band names of some of these guys, which I feel really speaks to the caliber of men I went out with in my early 20s. Germ Warfare, Malice in Chains, no, wait, Rim Job and the Nausea, seriously, I'm not making this shit up, Coxicle, and my personal favorite, Mama's Boy, Oi, Oi. Now, while all their music was different, the guys themselves were all the same. Tall, skinny, tattooed with ironic things like Vonnegut quotes or characters from Where the Wild Things Are. And without fail, they were always really sad. Sad, tortured souls who at 22 had lived through such pain growing up in the suburb of Illinois that the only way they could heal themselves was to write very loud, noisy songs about cock. Sickles. Okay, so now let's jump to me at 24. I shopped at the Village Thrift, taught fiction classes at Columbia College, and was dating the lead singer of the Laser Tags. What, you've never heard of them? Shocking. So anyway, we'd been together for about 6 months, and I had convinced myself that I loved him, which in retrospect had less to do with him than it did with him being a bartender at the House of Blues, which meant I got free booze and free shows. So anyway, one night I went to his bar. It was early still. Laser Tag was helping a customer, and I watched the opening band set up. Some chick, tight pants, big hair, whatever. I remember it had been an awful day at work. See, around this time, one of my students had been turning in stories about wanting to kill himself. His name was David. He was 19 years old, Southside Irish Italian with the accent, baggy jeans belted just below his crotch, and these giant headphones that he would not turn off unless you told him to. Like, David, we're starting class. Can you lose the M&M already? I didn't know how to talk to him, what would I say? This was a decade before Virginia Tech and most universities didn't have any procedures in place for at-risk students. When you're in college, you're an adult. Your teachers can suggest counseling, but they can't enforce it. Not to mention this was a creative writing class. Half the kids in there were writing about death, serial killers, rape, suicide, but something about David's work felt different. It didn't feel like fiction. Before I'd come to the House of Blues that night, he turned in another one, and I didn't know what to do, what to say, hey, laser tag said, smiling big. He had a tattoo of his pet iguana across his chest, and he gave me free vodka. I was in love. So I need to talk to you, he said. And I remember feeling grateful for something besides David to occupy my brain space. Like maybe we would talk about books, or our weekend plans, or how that guy from Metallica got set on fire. Instead, he said, total nonchalance. So, you know I'm dating another girl, right? Like, I'm seeing both of you? I never saw it coming. And that's when, on stage, the girl in the tight pants started to play. It's fair to say that in this moment, I was saved by a song. She was everything I ever wanted to be. Beautiful and confident and totally fucking badass. Her name, later I learned, was Julie Corman. And suddenly, meeting her was the most important thing in my universe. This is typical with musicians, right? We need to tell them how they've affected us, how their music made the past hour or past decade a little easier. So after her set, I waited in line at the merch table. I bought the CD and I said thank you. And then she thanked me for thanking her. And then it should have been over. I should have walked back to laser tag and his other girlfriend, but instead, I asked Julie if she wanted to make some work. What kind of work, she said. And I said, I write stories. So the piece we put together was about a guy who was dating two women. And we did all sorts of crazy music numbers, Pat Benatar, Annie Lennox, and a truly awful Alanis Morissette cover, but mostly we used Julie's originals. What it was about, for me, was based on this tune of hers called I'm Fine and I'm Happy. It's when you don't have the words for everything going on in your head. So instead you say, I'm fine, except you're not fine. In the story, I was talking about laser tag. But in real life, I'd made his decision easy and pulled myself out of the running. Truth was, I had bigger things on my mind. A few months after I started working with Julie, my student, David, stopped showing up. And after his third absence, I got the call that he'd killed himself. In class, I tell my students that there are words for every emotion, and it's our job as writers to find them. I've tried again and again to say how I felt in that moment, and every time I fail. People kept saying, how are you? And what do you say? I'm awful. I'm guilty. I shouldn't be sitting up here in front of these kids every week. I can't fucking save them. You can't say any of that. So you say, I'm fine. A few months later, we performed our story. It was at Shuba's, a rock club. We opened for Exo, a rock band. I had to get on stage with Julie, a rock star, and all of a sudden I was 15 years old again. The acne, the hair, 500 mid-Michigan high school students laughing their asses off. I remember standing next to those little stairs leading up to the stage, thinking how ridiculous this all was. I was supposed to be locked in a room with a typewriter, drinking wild turkey. Who was I to be acting like some rock star? And that's when Exo's drummer, Doug, came up to me. I remember he was super tall. I had to bend my head back to look him in the eye. And he had this shaggy hair. And every time I saw him, he had a look on his face like he just heard some really great joke. Isn't it time? He said, nodding towards the stage where Julie and Robert, our guitarist, were setting up. I don't know if I can do it, I said. And I will never forget this, he said. Megan, this is the fun part. I know he didn't mean it like any great, profound thing, but honestly, I think about that moment all the time. When I'm scared, overwhelmed, and moving too fast to remember what's really important, this This is the fun part. Let's jump forward now to me at 30. I'm engaged, not to a rock star, rather a web designer. We have many of the same qualities. Thank you. Anyhow, we just returned to Chicago after a year in Prague. I'm back teaching at Columbia, and I get the call that Doug had been killed. It's another moment I don't have any words for.
I took my love and I took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down.
Something I still can't shake is that the girl who killed him had been a student at Columbia. What if she'd been in my classroom? What if I'd said something, the right thing, at the right time? What if my words could have changed things? What if is a dangerous game. The next day I sat in class and looked at my students, these 20-year-old kids. 5 were writing about suicide, 3 more about assault, others about fear and pain, and all these stories are important, they help us heal, but it's not the stories that I'm worried about.
Well, I'm afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too.
When we were 20, Julie and I had these tragic conversations about putting our pain into our work, and art is the only thing that can save you. Now when we get together, we talk about how well did our kids nap today. We talk about juggling music and parenthood. We laugh. I'm 35. I no longer think that a song can save my life, but what it can do maybe is make it a little easier.
Yeah, I'm afraid of changing, 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. I'm getting older too.
Now, every semester, I tell my students what happened to Doug. And I tell them about a girl who did it. I say, if you have something going on up here, something too heavy to carry alone, please know that I will listen. If it's too heavy for me to carry, I will find you somebody strong enough, but please, please just let me listen. What if you let somebody listen?
And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, then the landslide will bring you down.
And then, afterward, I tell them about that night at Shuba's, about standing scared at the side of the stage and bending my head way, way back to listen to Doug. This is the fun part, he told me. This is the fun part.
Jesus Christ, superstar. What are you looking for? Help the choice. Yes, I'm the apple. How do you like me now? Sure got free birth control. Your 30-day trial is simply unconditional. Oh, what the hell? I might as well take a fall. Total failure could be such a thrill when you can't win. Yes, I'm a breeder. Yes, I'm a preacher. Yes, I'm a fan. Yes, I'm the apple of. Yes, I'm a. Yes, I'm a ball leader. Yes, I'm your savior. I'm the apple of your eye again. Used to be an individual, but I can't recall. Just another catch me out again. Used to be the dedicated one, but I can't recall. Putting out for everyone, it makes me. Putting out for everyone, it makes me. Putting out for everyone. Yes, I'm a breeder. Yes, I'm a preacher. Yes, I'm a faith healer. Yes, I'm the apple of. Yes, I'm a breeder. Yes, I'm a protector. Yes, I'm your savior. Yes, 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 I'm the apple of. Yes, 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 I'm the. Yes, 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 I'm the apple of. Yes.
Joe, I think the problem with the monitors is I turned up.
Mr. Butterfly opens up his eye and sings to the fairground lullaby. The sky above his bed is cotton candy red, cookie cut in a mural of his life. So I wait just a little bit for the wind to rise. So I wait just a little bit for my face to hide. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Every year, you know, I freak out about this thing, and you know, it's the same old bullshit. Oh, no one will come and all that nonsense. And thank you so much for being here, because this is the big one, right? We're not doing this next year, so so much appreciate all the bodies here, all that love in the room. I do have to tell a story about Dovetail, though, because I didn't have a chance to introduce them. Dovetail Joint has a very strong connection with Doug Meis, actually. Doug actually totally worshipped Dovetail Joint. In particular, Joe Dapier. And these guys have always been super close friends of mine. Chuck is one of my best friends in the world. Crazy respect for him. And I have a great Chuck anecdote that is a Doug Meis story that he wouldn't want me to tell on a night like this, but Doug really was all about funny shit. So go back to 2001. Doug auditioned for the band in 2000, and we started Exo proper 2001. And we have our first show with Doug at Elbow Room. And it's, how about that? Elbow Room! That's our home. I used to live there. That's like, seriously. I paid rent there. That was my home. It just happened to have a bar and kind of an open tap. But that's a whole nother conversation. That's not for tonight. So Doug's playing a show at Elbow Room. It's packed. It's crazy. He's nervous. He's fucked up. Anyone that knew Doug, you know, he took it so seriously. But playing was all he wanted to do. He's psyched to play drums, goes on stage. Never met Chuck in his life, remember. Thinks Dovetail Joint are rock stars, right? Q101, goes to Metro, they're crazy. Meets Chuck. First thing out of Chuck's mouth to Doug, don't fuck up, dude. That is a true story. That's how they started their relationship. Chuck's probably backstage right now, blowing it. He's probably not even in the room, but anyway. So, I've been wanting to tell that story for ages, so I'm excited to have the chance. We are going through every bass player that ever played with EXO. That's Ben Shellhays. Noel started the night, which a lot of you know. We're gonna get Langford up here, which is, you know, that's going further back. Yeah, is George here? He may have left. But if he's here, he's gonna play. This is a song called A Day Like Today, and there is a story about this one too, which is a sad fucking story, but that's what we're dealing with in the long kind of pantheon of tragedy. The big memory I have of playing this song was another Elbow Room show. Shocker, go figure, Elbow Room show. But I can remember playing this song the day after I found out one of my college buddies just died in the middle of the night. Working at his computer, wife went to bed, she got up in the morning, he's not in the bed. Goes out to the computer, and he's face down on the keyboard. Brain aneurysm, done. This kid's like 26 years old. So, just another one of those things that is relevant to tonight, living on this freaking planet. So, a day like today has really taken on different meaning for me, but it started as getting to this irrational point where you feel like you can't make sense of anything, but of course, you're kind of being self-indulgent and you're losing sight of all the good stuff that's actually around you. Sometimes it's really hard to break through that, though. And that's what this tune is about. Now, most people remember this tune because I list off a ton of drugs, and a lot of the kids that were fans of the band would come up to me and be like, dude, you do all that shit? And I'd be like, no, it's a song, don't worry about it. But there's a lot to this anyway. On a day like today, oh, I can't make sense of anything. Least of all me. On a day like today, oh, I can't get down with anyone. Least of all me. Thank you. I'm so glad I'm still in tune. I hate tuning. We're switching it up. First of all, I want to give Megan props again, wherever Megan is. That was the shit. That was my wife singing Landslide, by the way. Sneaky little Julie. Okay, more. This is Widow. This is a song called Widow, which the story around Widow is we worked on Widow right before Doug died. And Widow was always about loss and tragic shit. And it was sort of uncanny because the lyrics were already going that way. We worked on the record for 4 or 5 days, about a week, drum set up in Jason's bedroom or whatever, and he was killed. And so this song, every year, this song has always come to represent, you know, we do this show, it happens every year, all the stories come out, you start hearing about all the things that people are going through. And, you know, unfortunately, this year is no really exception. And so this show for me is always a reminder, what everyone's been saying tonight, it's a reminder of everything that's good, not the loss, but everything that we gain from it. And I've talked over the years how this experience has made me a better person. I would never wish it upon myself or anybody to go through it, but there are all these positive results. But this song is about the bullshit that people have to go through. People sitting next to you on the bus or at work or whatever, and you just don't think about it. I've got a coworker whose father just died of Huntington's disease. This is a disease that takes your mind and takes your body to the point where you can't swallow, and you just fall apart. Another girl that I work with had an aunt that just died, had a brain tumor that eventually took away her power of speech, her ability to move. You know, this type of shit is crazy, but the more you start paying attention, it's everywhere. And Widow has always been about trying to be sensitive to that. So.
Jessie put some makeup on, color in the purple shade of her. She fought for love. Love could kill her. Angel cooks for two each night, shares the empty seat and candlelight. She thought that life would always be there. Johnny wipes the dust from eyes that have seen too many brothers die. He came filled with pride to set me by. They care for the tears from better homes and lost like windows from 20 years alone. And I promise to sing about you clearly.
Thank you very much. Mr. Langford. Oh, look, he's ready. He's ready. So, first of all, not to change the tone, but Bush Light Tall Boys on the band deal, that's good. It's a good deal. George Langford, original EXO bass player. He has come up to play a mini set, and we're starting with, I think I have to say, my favorite EXO tune. I think I have to just put it down there. This is it. Did you lose your strap on that one? Oh, dude. I like how the fog just goes right in Joe's face every time it comes out. Let's do it.
Take a look at the cannibal. Simple phrase covers up the hate. At his best, you'll believe the lie. 'Cause silver tongues always complicate. And I think this cannibal treats his meat with love and care. And I think this cannibal fakes his best friend's medium rare. Have a chat with the cannibal. If you rate high profile, she can feed with the best of them. 'Cause silver tongues always prey. And I think this cannibal picks her cuts with pride and greed. And I think this cannibal spikes her sauce with compliments, sex and speed.
Hey, since it's not your garden variety rock show, I'll open this up to you all. Not doing it. Did it. We're trying to decide whether to do a very obscure song that's extremely heavy. And it's called How Long? Some people love it, some people think it's poopy. So what do you think? All right. Might be poopy. But it'll be fucking heavy, I'll tell you that much, sure.
my friends hate what I do, but it doesn't feel the truth that a kiss is a fist, and it makes me happy, thrilled by the touch of someone who willingly neglects the proof that I will never be safe. But I'm good and I'm sad when I sacrifice the truth, and I barely out with life. How long? How long? How long? Understand that I'm a fool, but it doesn't take a true genius to realize that I reek of weakness. Please don't remind me that I stray from the facts of full and plain, that a kiss is a fist and it breaks out. But I'm good and I'm sad when I sacrifice the truth, and I barely out with life. How long? How long? How long? I'm actually happy we played that just to hear the shit that George has fucking laid on your chin there. Oh my Lord. So I bet that's a divided verdict. I would bet. I bet. I hate these tuning moments. I'm not that dude that can like chat and tune for some reason. What's that? I'm a puss. All right. Enough with the awkward pauses.
Thank you, George. I think he gets the fun set, but I'm thinking. We are now into the final portion of the evening. Just sad. It's sad. We're down to 4 tunes here. That feels like I need another tuning moment. So anybody got any good, you know? Where's the Les Baxter though, Ben? That's what we're missing. Oh wow, speak of the devil. So this tune, actually there is a story about this tune that I've never told. This is a song called Radar, per the gentleman in the back. And this is actually the first and only Exo tune that was written in rehearsal without me. See how good it is? I came back from doing whatever I do, and they had this. That thing, which you hear under the magnificent Jason Lee guitar solo in the middle of the song. But this, like a lot of Exo tunes, I'm going to let you in on like the geekdom of Exo for a second. We always tried to write songs for the musicians in the room that had one chord progression the whole song, never changed, but didn't sound like that. And this is one of those tunes that, even though you might be fooled, it's that chord progression the whole time. Now, this tune, as I've told you guys before, took on a special meaning after Doug died. But this tune was always about my wife. My wife is around here somewhere. Oh, fantastic. I don't know where that came from, but
It sounded like
here's
George.
the deal about Radar. Radar is about hating yourself and figuring out that love is finding someone that teaches you or that loves the things about you that you hate. That's what Radar is for me, where I got to this hopeless point. Along comes somebody that sees things in me that I couldn't see in myself. To me, that's the whole fucking thing. That's the secret to everything. So this is forever and always for Julie.
You're feel so very alive. Helpless, faithless, you are not from anyone. You feel so very alive. You must be liberated. You must be liberated. You must be liberated. You must be liberated.
Thank you. Case, cake slice, shrimp case. Ken had more Ben had more nicknames than anybody on the planet.
Best samples I ever felt. Those are-
Hit the samples.
Nice.
Happy birthday, Katie O'Meara!
How was the birthday?
Say happy birthday, Katie O'Meara.
Katie O'Meara? Where's Katie O'Meara?
You did that. You other said.
Oh, we already got one? You only get one.
Oh, yeah, well,
She bailed.
Happy birthday, Doug.
you ready, Case?
Come on, man.
This time I plan to make amends for every piece of shit that I pretend. And I don't believe the hype. No, I won't believe the hype. But I'll calculate the mass I see trying. Here I go. Here I go. Don't think you're passing through a day. 'Cause I'm camping out behind your stupid face. And I don't believe the hype. No, I won't believe the hype. But I'll calculate the master. Here I go. Here I go. Starstruck, here I go. Here I go. Say hello to the master, seize control, my friend. Just think how long it's been since you felt starstruck. Chemistry. Say hello to the master, seize control, my friend. Just think how long it's been since you felt starstruck. Chemistry. Say hello to the master, seize control, my friend. Just think how long it's been since you felt starstruck. Starstruck. Chemistry.
Thank you so much. We have now reached the end. And we end the set the same way every year. And this year would be no exception. We're going to end it with Create Fire, which is a song that was finished after Doug died. The lyrics are finished anyway. We had the recordings. And again, it was my best attempt to, I mean, I don't know. You do what you can. I was locked up in that Anybody that's been to my house knows the studio is like a little cave. And after Doug died, I mean, we were just locked up in there for weeks. And perfectly honest with you, I can just remember sitting down there, just crying for days, trying to write lyrics that made some kind of sense. Because when you deal with this, for instance, I realized that things that his brother's going to read and his mom's going to read, there's just all this stuff. And I knew as much as that thing just tore my life up, changed everything for me, there's nothing compared to what they were going through, So, it's the best that I could do. This is Create Fire, and this is the way I think of Doug, always, because he was just so freaking alive. And he definitely taught me, I haven't learned the whole lesson because I was totally stressed about tonight. And he would be like, he was so good at dialing in the good times and just taking things for what they're worth and not overthinking it. So Create Fire is what Doug did for everyone that knew him.
There are not the words and vocabulary that can begin to illustrate my head, and the thoughts that tumble and echo back and forth now, loud and without end, without end. On one hand I feel that if I live and if I love, it's a sinful thing, 'cause it doesn't pay the tribute to the loss I feel for you, and my guilt condemns. My courage should not forget that you were never want this, but I let it bury me because I feel the best message that I can send to myself is I'll never be the same. Tears are gone and I can sleep. I tell myself that I must be dead, 'cause all my days and nights and dreams and hopes are all transformed by this one event. My courage should not forget that you would never love this, but I let it consume me because I feel the best message that I can send to myself is I'll never end. And even farther, I'll be the one to tear apart the seam through your life.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. You guys mean a tremendous amount to us. It's indescribable. And you know, honestly, I'm gonna take this chance to thank all of these guys: Jason, Joe, Noel, George, Ben, Jim Denew, Gerald Dowd, all these insane musicians that have done their best to deal with me and these silly little songs. So thank you guys so much. It is deeply appreciated. The complications make me crazy. The disillusion makes me lazy. We're the last of the super radicals. We're the last of the unforgettables. We're the last of the unforgettables. We're the first of things. But I can't abide what
I'm